Hi, this is Southern Belle 74, and this is a hot topic of the day. I'm going to discuss the inhumane living situations inside of Rikers Island Correctional Facility. Dozens of men cramped together for days in temporary holding cells amid a pandemic. Filthy floors, sullied with rotten food, maggots, urine, feces, and blood. Plastic sheets for blankets, cardboard boxes for beds, and bags that substitute for toilets. This is what is found at the epicenter of Rikers Island, which has a whopping $1.2 million budget for fiscal year 2022, and it looked like this. In the following clip, I'm showing you different photos of the inside of the facility. It was inhumane. They're not supposed to be here that long. The intake is just a place to process the inmates. Most housed are the new admissions to the jail. Before intake, were moved into another larger facility. The sad thing about it is you can't do anything about it. It's all management. They knew what was going on and they did nothing. Internal records obtained by the Post, the New York Post, gave a glimpse inside the problem scope and indicated at least 256 inmates festered inside the OBCC intake beyond the 24-hour limit. This happened this past June and late September. One of the detainees, 42-year-old Isabel Kareem, died 3 weeks after spending 10 days in this intake. He contracted COVID 19, and that's what led to his death. This is and was determined by the city's medical examiner. During a 5-day period in mid September, shortly after the intake processes were moved, over 105 inmates were inside crowded cells long after they should have been moved. In this period of time, one detainee was inside this intake for 6.5 days. 22 stayed between 5 and 6 days, and 80 were there in between 2 to 5 days. Regardless of whether you are tough on crime or you're a criminal justice reformer, everyone recognizes that when someone comes into custody, we have a responsibility to provide them a safe and secure environment. And we have been falling and failing them in this regard. This came from Councilman Keith Powers, who chairs the Criminal Justice Committee inside the intake. They are understaffed, overworked, and overcrowded. And everyone was trying to do their best, but often did not remediate the situation at hand. You just had a human rights crisis right before your eyes, and it is very crushing and overwhelming when you see that with your own two eyes. You will now see two news clips, one giving you another look inside of Rikers Island, and then you're going to also see the flip side of it, and you'll see a day in the life of an actual correctional officer. He's going to take you along with him, and you'll see how his workday goes. I hope you enjoy this commentary as well as this news that you can use.
Rikers Island, New York's massive jail complex, just a few miles from Midtown Manhattan, and scene of a humanitarian crisis.
What are some words you'd use to describe Rikers Island?
Hell. Plain and simple, hell.
Benji Lozano recently spent 5 months in Rikers, serving the remaining sentence from a 1997 assault conviction after his recent parole from decades in state prison on a separate conviction.
What do you see in these pictures?
I see myself. I see everything that I experienced while I was at Rikers Island. I see inhumane conditions. I mean, look at that. It's ridiculous.
Photos obtained by the New York Post last fall show detainees jammed in a holding area. Lozano says he spent weeks living like this.
Feces all over the wall, unoperable restrooms, toilets would not flush, the sinks would not work. It was disgusting.
And you might be surprised who agrees with him.
People were living in inhumane conditions.
Until last month, Vincent Schiraldi was in charge of Rikers Island.
No recreation, health care was not available to people because we couldn't get them to their doctor's appointments.
Violence, he says, was rampant. NBC News recently obtained more than 100 hours of surveillance video from inside Rikers. City officials don't contest the contents of the video. Scenes like this, an attempted knifing averted by an officer, and an inmate organized so-called fight night where some detainees were forced to participate.
Who was running the place?
The inmates run the facilities.
I wrote to all the judges and all the district attorneys and said, I cannot guarantee the safety of people that get sent here.
Schiraldi says one of the most pressing problems, a union contract that gives officers unlimited sick time. He points out that of the nearly 8,000 officers at Rikers, up to a third don't show up on any given day. For 6 years, Serena Townsend was in charge of investigating misconduct at the jail.
People were calling out sick, and then when we would go and check on them, they were not actually at home sick, they were out.
Last month, Townsend was fired by the newly appointed commissioner after she says he instructed her to get rid of 2,000 disciplinary cases against officers within 100 days, and she refused. The city denies Townsend's claims.
I investigated every type of act of misconduct, and I have to say that a lot of what I saw in those cases are things that are happening that could have been prevented if we had staff in the jails.
Benny Bossio, the union president representing officers, accuses Townsend of being overzealous in her discipline of officers who were trying to do an impossible job.
We have officers that are out sick. 1,500 correction officers have been assaulted in the last year. We have officers dealing with long-term effects of COVID, being sexually assaulted. So, you know, this notion that we're out on purpose is just nonsense.
Finger pointing aside, everyone agrees that Rikers is horribly broken.
And whose fault is all that?
I think it's an administrative fault. It is the fault of people who run the system and people who are in elected positions.
New York plans to close Rikers by 2027. Meantime, a City Hall spokesperson says under new Corrections Commissioner Louis Molina, more than 1,000 officers are back at work and many are now working normal hours again. Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.
I'll say a prayer to myself, you know, I'll ask God, you know, to protect me, you know, from all harm and danger while I'm in there. I work in CPSU, which is the Bing. We deal with probably the most problematic, most assaultive, you know, inmates. I worry about my safety all the time in here, you know. All right.
Good morning, staff.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you very much.
Let's have a safe tour. Let's have a good tour. Let's look out for one another. Thank you.
Chemical agents, OC, consists of, I think, of extremely hot peppers and water-based liquid. It's water, it's naturals, but it burns. It'll make them stop fighting when you need to spray. So that's what we use it for. As we walk, you know, it's like I speak to everybody that's in here, because, you know, you never know what somebody might be going through outside in their day. You know, just a quick, hey, how you doing? You okay? It go a long way. Let's go, bro. You all right? All right. You got brief that 2 officers were assaulted last night. You know the names of the officers that were assaulted? If you need me for anything, you know, just call me. All right. No problem. It's a job you can try to script your day as much as you want. Try to, you know, think of everything that you're going to encounter. But realistically, anything can happen.
The aggression that these guys have, they're locked inside their cells, you know. I've learned to, you know, how to address it, you know, and how to deal with that. This area holds a maximum of 50 inmates. You walk in, you have to address the issues of 50 grown men.
We get the A door.
How you doing?
I'm just gonna take a tour just to make sure, you know, everybody's alive, everybody's breathing, make sure they're okay. If you sit still and you watch the cell, you see their chest rising up and down, you can tell, all right, cool, he's alive, he's sleeping, you know, he's breathing, stuff like that. So that's what I'm gonna check right now.
Good morning. How you doing? It takes a special person to do this job.
Pretty good.
I got your juice right here. Don't go no farther than that. Come back, move, move, move.
What is it that I'm smelling?
There's all kinds of smells in here right now at the moment. And this is what we have to deal with in here with inmates like that. Everybody has an opinion, you know, about what goes on and stuff in here, but 9 times out of 10, anybody that has anything negative to say about a correctional officer, they never even been in a facility, never been inside of a jail. Like, I'm supposed to feed a guy that's throwing stuff out of his slot and then out of his cell at me. I'm supposed to feed him, you know, but gotta still remain professional and do a job. So. But, you know, it's a regular day at the office.